Welcome to Whiskey Band Reviews. I'm Eric.
And I'm Josh.
Weller Foolproof. You're not going to find this one at the Buffalo Trace gift shop, so we're going to let you know what we think.
So let's drink on that.
All right, Josh, so we've got the Weller Foolproof. How we feeling about Weller these days?
You know, I'm probably going to catch some hate for this, but I've always been a fan of Weller. I think it's definitely a solid product.
Yeah.
I think it's overhyped for the most part. I don't know. Never quite lives up to exactly what everybody kind of throws out there, in my opinion, but still a very solid product. So definitely excited to get in and try this.
Yeah, I'm kind of along the same lines. Wheated bourbon, which for all the bourbon masters out there is like the gold standard on how you're supposed to make bourbon, but we kind of like rye stuff. Weller, like you said, good product. If I'm in line at Buffalo Trace and I see it's Weller, I leave. I like it, but I'm not going to hang around and wait for it. It's kind of scarce around here. You don't find it, but if you go up to Ohio, you can buy like cases of it, which I'm not trying to do.
Yeah.
But it is cool. And again, Buffalo Trace product probably hypes it up a bit. The Foolproof, I think they put out to start competing with the Larceny Barrel Proof from Heaven Hill and the Maker's Cast Strength. So I think that's what gives us this monster. Of course, Weller from Buffalo Trace, the same mash bill that you eventually get up to the Pappies. So you got the Special Reserve, the Antique 107. You got this, the 12-year, the white label. That is a unicorn that I don't think I've ever seen one. Was it CYPB?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never seen one in real life person, so.
Only at the liquor stores downtown Lexington that like all got raided by the federal government. That's the only place I've ever seen one of those. But yeah, so this one goes 114 proof.
Yep.
Because that's what it goes. So this is foolproof, not barrel proof. So meaning that 114 proof is what it went into the barrel at. So they kept it at that proof once they bottled it. So this isn't straight out of the barrel, whatever that would be. So it's up there though, 114.
Yeah, definitely kind of in the wheelhouse that I like. Usually between about 110-ish to 120 is kind of the sweet spot in my eyes. So
yeah, and I think getting that Weller Special Reserve up to the 107, the Antique, I think it makes it considerably better.
Yeah,
like same bourbon, but at a higher proof, it's just better. So I'm hoping we get more of the same here. So this is a store pick from Liquor Barn here in Kentucky. Good folks up there. They know what they're doing, especially when they're picking barrels. They don't put their sticker on it unless it's something good. So this should be a good one.
Yeah.
All right. Classic Weller cork. I do like their bottles, the shape of them.
Yeah.
And I feel a lot of people almost kind of rip them off a little bit. There's a lot of similar looking bottles.
For sure. It's just a very kind of classic looking shape.
Yeah.
I've always really liked the neck on them.
Mm-hmm.
Where they, up towards the top, you know, they get narrow, they kind of widen out again and narrow again, so.
Okay, on the nose on this one, like straight away, and I poured a huge pour.
Yeah, I did. I did too, so.
So we're going to get plenty of this one. It's just straight away, strong vanilla scent. It's very heavy vanilla for me.
Yeah. Definitely got some sweet notes on that vanilla type.
Yeah. Which kind of goes along with the wheated bourbons. High corn volume with the wheat.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of get those sweeter aromas. No age statement on this as well, so
It's pleasant.
it is. I'm getting a ton of kind of bakery kind of notes.
Yeah,
like,
that's kind of where I was sitting
like
here
sweet desserts.
trying to think. It's almost like some kind of cookie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Kind of like a sugar cookie almost.
Yeah.
It's definitely along that sweet vibe. It's not spicy. It's not... You don't get the proof on the nose. I think it hides it pretty well.
Yeah, definitely is hiding the proof. There's no way that I would have ever guessed that it's as high as 114 just based off of the nose, for sure.
I get a good deal of oak as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty forward. But the vanilla, oak, and then just all the sweet kind of smells. Maybe even a bit of like cinnamon even.
It's leaving a pretty good film on the inside of our Glencairns there as well.
Absolutely. And it's a little darker.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a darker kind of copper looking color. So
it's almost kind of
interesting.
spot on the color of the amber from Jurassic Park.
It is. Just throw a mosquito in there. Right?
It's almost like exactly that color.
That is... I'm glad you mentioned it. That is like clinging to the edge of that glass.
Yeah.
And it's not going anywhere.
No, it's really not.
It's almost syrupy.
Which is pretty encouraging because it, obviously whenever that happens, it gives you a pretty good lengthy mouthfeel usually. So
yeah, again, just kind of classic stuff, but very sweet. Very much on the sweet side.
Very sweet.
I feel like you're walking into like you said, some kind of cookie or cupcake shop, something like that. That kind of smell.
Yeah.
It's very welcoming. Shall we?
Let's go for it. That kind of threw me off a little bit.
Yeah, wasn't quite what I was expecting. Not in a bad way. It's good.
First of all, the one thing that I would like to kind of note is the mouthfeel. Going back to, we were talking about how it was clinging to the glass here and everything. It's definitely got a pretty thick mouthfeel to it.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't taste a whole lot like Weller Special Reserve to me.
Mm-mm.
It's significantly better than that.
What's the proof doing for you?
Very slow build.
Yeah.
Nothing right off the tongue at all.
I don't really get it until a little bit after the fact.
Yeah.
More towards the back of the mouth.
And even then, it's not super warm.
No.
10 seconds later, I get like a little, hey, here I am, and then it's kind of gone.
Yeah. Definitely something that even at a 114 would be kind of an easy drink, which is weird to say, but yeah, it's not very harsh. Tasting notes, I don't know, it's kind of difficult for me to pick much out of it. That oakiness out of it a little bit, not a whole lot though. Almost like a nuttiness kind of, which is weird.
Well, I just took several little small drinks kind of a little faster, and it was a lot more enjoyable. It feels like it's sticking around a little bit longer now. I think as far as the palate, pretty similar to the nose. It's sweet. It's still in that realm of kind of more desserty kind of things, or things that go in dessert. The vanilla, the sugar, it's just all kinds of kind of baking spice, like sweet baking spices.
Yeah, definitely getting the sweetness out of it. It's just kind of all blending in together there, giving you several different things at once. Like we kind of touched on with the nose, it's almost like a cookie or something along those lines. And
yeah.
It kind of comes through on the palate almost that same way. Instead of just like each individual ingredient that's going into it, it's just kind of like you're taking a bite of that cookie.
So the farther I get with it, the more I like it.
I definitely like it. I'm just not sure how much exactly I like it yet.
Yeah. And going back to the nose, it's a lot more oak forward, which we kind of find to be the trend.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't really change much besides that.
Yeah. I was kind of trying to revisit that a little bit here and there.
And I'm getting more now of a long, low-level burn rather than kind of how it was at first. So I don't know if that's just from having more of it, but it's sticking around a little bit more now, but at a very low level. This, I think, the last one I saw, secondary price went for $240 in Kentucky. MSRP is what?
50?
Right. Yeah. So MSRP $50. I'm not sure one of them has ever been bought for around $50. It might be up around 60 now. Between 50 $60. So with those prices, yeah. Secondary prices, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, secondary prices make it a little tougher to gauge.
Which we don't let that affect our score, but we do like to note it.
Yeah, it's definitely worth noting. I mean, we can give you the review all day long, but if we don't at least touch on the price, then we're kind of doing you guys a disservice on that, I feel like, because we could talk a bourbon up, get to the end of the video, you're excited to try it, you go look it up, and then see the price, and they're like, okay. Thanks for the heads up, guys. So.
Yeah. I maybe get like a little honey off the front of the tongue. As far more with the sweet though. Everything's sweet about it. The whole thing's sweet. And as you mentioned earlier, I think if like full proofs, barrel proofs are things that typically run you off, don't let this, because I don't think it will.
Yeah, definitely not. It's much more mellow than a 114 proof. And as you kind of touched on, the more you kind of get into it or whatever, you're at least getting that feeling, but it's not harsh in any form. I'm interested to see our scores on this one, where we end up, how far apart we are. I
might finally be higher than you. Who knows?
Maybe. That doesn't happen very often.
No. From the first drink to where I'm at now, I'm feeling a lot different. Like, I've probably gone up like a half a point.
I've definitely went up.
I had pretty high hopes for it going in just because of what it is and how difficult it is to get and it being foolproof. So it doesn't quite, I don't know if it lives up to the hype for me, but it's good.
Yeah.
I think I'm good. I think I'm right on. This is the perfect score.
The perfect score.
This is the most accurate score that's ever been scored.
Oh, yeah?
In all of scores.
In all of them.
Who's higher?
I'm sure I probably still am. Just seems to be the trend, how things normally go.
Okay. Yeah, I'd say you're probably higher.
Yeah.
But I think it'll even out to a good score. A good, accurate score. How close are we? Are we close?
Probably.
I
would say that we're probably within 0.3.
Okay. One last chance here. Extra credit.
Yeah.
No, I'm good. I'm good with where I'm at. All right, so I have a 7.9.
You've got to be kidding me, dude.
Josh has a 7.9. So our overall score is
7.9.
7.9. All right. Told you it was the best score that was ever scored in all scores.
No wonder you were so, confident about it.
I thought we'd be pretty close because I'm right there at the 8.0. Do you need to go out and get it? Not quite.
Yeah, it falls just short of that to me, to be honest.
Yeah. It's almost there, and it may be there for some people, may not be for others. So I think it's right on the fence on if you really need to go try to get this.
Yeah, I see the appeal for sure. It's, at a pretty decently high proof, but it's not harsh. It's got some pleasant notes on both the nose and the palate. But it just, something about it just seems lacking to me. And I think more so for me on the palate, it just, I don't know. It's really hard to pick the notes apart, for one thing. I don't know. Something there. I just want a little bit more from it.
I get what you're saying. Yeah. It falls. It leaves you desiring like a bit more out of it.
Right.
Like it's like right there. It's like just do a little bit more for me. First impressions, I was a lot lower.
For sure.
And then
I was also.
The more I had it, the more kind of everything developed a bit more. But again, I think it might be in the finish. I think the finish of it is just I don't know. It makes you want a little bit more.
Yeah. At a 7.92, being that close to that, go out and seek it. You know, we don't really let the price affect what we end up coming to at the end. But if you were able to get this at retail, it's definitely worth the pickup, for sure. If you're comfortable spending it, it's worth it, but I wouldn't pay that for it. I could, if you had that kind of expendable income and wanted to go for it, then
more so a collection piece, I think. Still a very good bourbon, but yeah, that's kind of my final thought on it. Good if you can get a deal on it, awesome. And that's kind of the fun in it for me, is trying to find a deal, to not pay that secondary price everyone's trying to get. That's kind of the fun in it for me. I think that wraps it up pretty good. Very good. A little short.
Yeah.
Describes me too. All right. That's all we got for you guys. Thanks for watching. Comment, like. Let us know if you've had it, how much you've paid for it, and is our review off?
Yeah. Be eager to hear your all's comments and everybody telling us how wrong we are, because we're kind of used to that when it comes to Weller, but
yeah,
that's the fun of it.
It is what it is. All right. Thanks, guys.
See ya. Me, bro.
I love the good taste of a hard, cold